A deadening silence. At first, the people would nod and smile as I passed them. Now they don't even see me. I became the invisible man, the otherworldly spirit they could sense but never truly see. My ears have failed me, but my eyes are luckily aided by the spectacles I've managed to keep in one piece, mostly. I could still intuit the eyes and mouths, arms and fingers of the living souls who see right through me. But after a few sessions at the witch doctor's, I've become quite thrilled in this new life. One day I was a regular man, much like you, who had a job in a humble apartment. It was a one-bedroom on the highest story, towered over the Madison district of town. The rose bushes looked like speckled bugs from above. The building was constructed in 1908 and had its original checkered black and white kitchen flooring, its original wood flooring, and pull-out bed. The bathtub was an ancient thing with feet. The elevator had a roll cage, and one could watch as all 6 floors went by to the top. There were old centennial disconnected rotary phones in each apartment and in the halls. I found pleasure in these things as an armchair historian. Oh, I loved history, more specifically music history. I was a fan of the old silent films and dreamed of being a piano player for one of those theaters back in those days. But they have yet to build me the time machine to do that. I couldn't care less for all the wars of the world, the ugly animal beast that man had made himself. I wanted to see concerts and play sessions for the great masters of jazz, blues, country, and rock and roll. Oh, I fancied these ideas daily as I lived in the old building. I was bringing a sack of laundry down to the basement where the card-operated machines rocked and tumbled. I passed by Mrs. Pearl, the landlady. "Hello, missus," I smiled at her.
"Hello there, Hank,"
she responded with a tired, cordial smile, almost as if to say she was annoyed with a mere greeting from a lowly tenant. However, she added,
"I do appreciate you turning in the—"
My left hearing aid crackled. I reached up to rub the tiny microphones on it as it fizzled out, and with my right hearing aid heard her finish,
"Rent money early. You're like one of 3 people in the whole building who's ever on time, if I must say."
She wiped her nose with a tissue and continued chewing her gum. I passed by another tenant who seemed suspiciously quiet and dirty to me. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. He was ragged in a jarring way. However, he was the only other tenant on the 6th floor. He never seemed to have company that I could tell. I put the hearing aid with the dead battery in my shirt pocket. After putting on 2 loads of dirty clothes to wash, I took the elevator upstairs with my empty laundry sack, and in my apartment I had changed the battery. The hearing aid was dead. It did not work at all. It had lasted just as long as predicted, 5 years. That night I laid on my left side to hear the tunes crackling out of the turntable as I waited between loads of laundry. The wonderful juxtapositions of Miles Davis on trumpet with John Coltrane on saxophone flooded my mind, and soon found myself lost in the night after all the clothes were washed and folded under the dim lamp as I'd gaze from my 6-story windows out at the lit-up city outside. Work was a challenge the next day. I couldn't hear any of the customers' orders, so my boss had me wash dishes instead. A week has gone by, and I got a call from a dear friend in Missouri. I put the speakerphone next to my right hearing aid. "Hank!" "Hey, Bryce." I heard static, and he mumbled, and his muffled voice became deadened by abrupt static and eventual shutting down of my last hearing aid. "Sorry, Bryce, you won't believe this, but both of my hearing aids have stopped working. I'm afraid we should just text," I told him. He never texted me back, however. Apparently, if my ears can't sense him, my eyes don't deserve it either. Bryce never called or texted since. A month came by and I got fired for not being able to hear customers. It seemed illegal, but it was something they could get away with. Soon after, Mrs. Pearl stopped making eye contact with me. She flat out ignored all of my greetings in the hall. I had gotten paid 3 days late, and the rent was 6 days late. Now I have nowhere to go. I put my belongings in a storage unit, and I become more and more invisible day by day. I sit at the riverside and think most summers. I don't even get caught shoplifting. Just amazing what being deaf and homeless can be like. One day I went to the witch doctor's. He gave me an oil to rub in my shoes. He said my feet were stinky. Then he bid me farewell and told me to come back in a week. By then I had found a job as a package handler in a warehouse. He told me my odor was preventing me from getting a job. His sign language was no good, so he had to write his every word down. The next session, he had us walking briskly uphill and running back down the hill. He fed us blueberries and salmon, a diet he swore by. Very lean, full of vitamins and good fats. He scribbled down for me to decipher. I could only imagine what his accent sounded like. I had no problem with those foods. In a matter of a few months, my weight went down immensely, and I also quit smoking. The job promoted me to management. Soon I was able to rent my old apartment again. Money talked, but Mrs. Pearl still looked right through me. I wonder if she just didn't recognize me. I did get a tiny bit of a glance from the ragged, uncanny-seeming tenant who was the only one I shared the 6th floor with. I was depressed. Life was getting worse and better all at the same time. All I did was work, 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 work in the deadening silence. I came home and existed merely to exist. My friends were strangers to me, and I them. Nobody reached out to me, and I received no greetings or farewells or any such nonsense from anyone. I felt I had all but to actually die and become trapped in some limbo. The music was gone from my turntable, the elevator, the machines I would normally hear at work. All alone and invisible, I vanished and vanished. I almost did. Guru Fink, I said, standing on the ledge above my apartment on the roof of the 3rd largest building in the city. My heart is broken. I yearn for death, but I feel I have already died. He held my hand as we walked the ledge in varying speeds with varying counts and box breathing. He had us finish our very scary session, and he wrote on a piece of paper, "Come with me." I followed him down the stairs to the stairwell door which led to the elevator, which we ignored and circled around quickly. He wanted our blood to stay going as he wrote it down. We descended those many steps and found ourselves going to the cafe in the lobby. He ordered us 2 cappuccinos. Then I followed him to the park. We sat in the grass, mostly surrounded by trees, and facing the city from a high rocky cliff. He lit some incense as the pink and purple with scarlet and burgundy overtones flooded the morning sky as the sunrise began to color the sky behind the city skyline. He didn't have to tell me anything. After a while, I was finally able to afford new hearing aids as I saved for many paychecks. I could hear the birds once again. My eyes were wider with the wonder of the vibrant colors of the dandelions along the sidewalk as I heard traffic again. The moans of city buses, pedestrians chattering and stepping along the shuffling sidewalks. I had music to catch up on to make up for a year without hearing. Finally, after the ride home, I put on a record on the turntable. The jazz music played. I was in a euphoric state when my blood curdled at the sound of a woman screaming in the hall. The screaming stopped before I turned my music off. I went into the hall like a fool. The hall was spotless on this side. Quiet, too. I kept walking until I saw some handprints of blood along the walls after turning some corners to the other side. Blood had been dripping along the carpet of the hallways leading up to the other tenant's door on the top story. I quietly called the authorities in my locked apartment. I saw and heard the ambulance as I watched from my window. Soon after, a few policemen and a fire truck came. I spoke to the police after they made their arrest upon discovering a multitude of body parts in the ragged tenant's kitchen. He had killed 16 women in the past year alone, they told me. It was something I did not like to hear. Oh, the lives I could have heard, I thought to myself. Oh, what a fucking pity, I remembered, as the world slowly forgot me when I couldn't hear or be housed. Perhaps it's just karma, the witch doctor's final words were to me. Take your rest of these notions. Life is too absurd to notice anyone, let alone us outcasts. He winked. His accent was rather much more normal than I thought. He gave me another bottle of water and sent me out into the world. With weird knowledge and experience, I still practice his practices, and I remember his words today. Most of all, I hear screams of that poor woman in my nightmares. This building has more ghosts than just myself.